If you're feeling lost right now, I'm gonna be honest, this video probably isn't gonna help you feel any less lost, but it might help you understand how getting lost can actually be really helpful and in fact necessary sometimes for finding your way. Hey, I'm Willie from Roadtrip Nation. I'm currently out here on a hiking trail, getting a little lost myself. And at Roadtrip Nation, we know a thing or two about getting lost. Literally, first of all, we've been lost on the streets all across the country, probably more times than we want to admit. But also, figuratively, in the grander sense, like lost on the path of life. And that's because year after year, we take road trips with all kinds of different people who are at various stages of trying to figure out what to do next. And with them, we seek out wisdom and guidance from people who have found their way. One of the things that we hear most of all is just not to panic. As hard and uncomfortable as it can feel in the moment, not knowing what to do with your life is normal. And it's okay. This is exactly what Celine Cousteau told us. She's a real-life explorer, by the way, so check this out.
This is part of the exploration process. This is part of realizing and becoming who you are. Even to be able to say, the next time I make a decision, I want to make a good decision. So I'm going to let myself live in that in-between time for a little while. And this in-between time is the meantime. It's the transition time. And too often we don't look at that as an entity in and of itself. That is a moment in your life. And to really embrace that and appreciate it. But those are also the really difficult times. That's when you're questioning yourself, that's when you're not sure about what's next. But to be able to just accept it and say, well, I'm in the meantime. I'm in that in-between, and I'm gonna figure it out.
So we can be pressured to have it all figured out at a pretty young age, right? Like what are you gonna study? What are you gonna be when you grow up? People really expect us to have those answers, oftentimes before we even feel like we know who we really are. And I know from experience, it can be really difficult to look around and see a bunch of people who seemingly have it all figured out, right? They have 5-year plans and 10-year plans and all of that. And not that there's anything wrong with having long-term plans necessarily, but whenever I meet someone like that, I actually get really tempted to share a conversation with them that we once had with someone named Juan Enriquez. He's a futurist, which is a real job, by the way. Anyways, check out what he told us.
Most of the US economy and most of the new US jobs are in things that did not exist 10 years ago. So you have probably no idea where you're going to end up working in 10 years because a lot of the fields you're going to end up working in don't exist yet.
Okay, it would appear we have reached our first fork in the road. Looks like we've got a shady path and a sunny path. Yeah, that feels obvious. Don't worry about it, Mr. Map. We're not interested. Don't need it. Okay, so not only is the world always changing around us, and rapidly, but we're also always changing as individuals, right? Every time you try another path or you have another experience, you're gonna learn and you're going to grow and evolve. And I believe that means that in order to stay true to who you are, and in order to stay in touch with a world that's constantly changing, then you can't really hang on too tightly to any kind of blueprint anyways. We actually spoke about this to someone named Jeff Johnson, who is a journalist and a speaker and an activist. Check out how he put it to us.
Success isn't logical. Most of the people that are successful, they didn't do what everybody else did. Because it's the people that think out of the box in whatever discipline they're in are the ones that shake the world. Nobody's looking around at the people following a manual saying, my God, they followed that manual in a way that was just inspiring. It's the people who throw the manual away and say there's something beyond this that I can share or that I can give or that I can invest that are the people that become successful.
Okay, check this out. This might be a terrible plan. The trail goes up that way, but I just found this little path that heads out into the woods. I say we check it out. Let's see where this heads. And, okay, so that was a dead end. It doesn't go anywhere. That feels like a metaphor. I don't know exactly what it's a metaphor for. Okay, so there was another conversation that we had that honestly completely reshaped the way that I think about what it means to be lost. It was with someone named J.P. Barlow, who, rest in peace, by the way, he lived an epic, meandering, full life as everything from a poet to a rancher to an internet rights pioneer. And honestly, our conversation with him had such an impact on me that I literally got some of his words tattooed on my skin. It's just these 4 little words right here. If you're not lost, ... I'll explain what that means in just a second, but first, when we came to him and we explained how we were feeling lost, he really flipped it on us. Check this out.
Well, I think it's important to place a different value on what you connote when you say getting lost. As long as we assume that that means that we are helpless and adrift and abandoned, very little good can come of it. But if we start to think about being lost in a positive way, exploring and opening yourself up to possibilities that you wouldn't have otherwise considered.
So what does that really mean to get lost in a positive way? What I took from that conversation is that there is a key difference between getting lost and getting stuck. When you're getting lost, the way that he's talking about it, that means you're venturing out into the unknown, uncharted territories, and you're asking yourself big questions and you're exploring your possibilities. You don't know what your end goal is necessarily, but you do have forward momentum. Now, when you're stuck, on the other hand, that might mean that you've let this feeling of being lost overwhelm you and paralyze you. You've stopped asking questions, you've stopped trying new things. And if you are feeling that way right now, we actually made a whole video about getting unstuck, so be sure to check that out. This concept actually reminded me of another conversation that we had with someone named Lisa Lejeune, who is a master welder, but she didn't even know what welding was when she took her first class in it in high school. She just had an interest, so she decided to explore and check it out.
You have to explore in order to really find out what you like, but don't let opportunities pass you by. They're not gonna always come and knock on a door. You have to go look. I just happened to see the word welding and was curious. If you are curious about something, go and look, go and observe. And if it sparks you, find a class and try it.
But going back to our conversation with JP Barlow, it was really one of the last things that he said to us that really brought it all home. And this is where the tattoo quote comes in.
I once had a member of the Explorers Society, he'd gotten both of us lost. And I thought, well, this is ironic. And you're lost, and you're a member of the Explorers Society. And he said, well, I figure if you're not lost, you're not much of an explorer.
To me, that is just the perfect reminder that if you're feeling lost, that might actually be a sign that you're doing the right thing. You're taking the time to explore who you are and who you could become, and you're asking yourself the right questions. And that tension that you feel, that discomfort, that might just be you growing, as you allow your priorities to shift, as your interests change. In other words, I don't think you have to wait to make the quote-unquote right move. You can just follow your interests down whatever little tangents and side roads that they lead you down and allow yourself to discover something new. You may have to let go a little bit of control and accept that you don't know exactly where you're gonna end up. But I'd say especially you should reject the idea that you already know what you're capable of. Because right now, it's very likely that there are untapped skills and talents just living dormant beneath your surface, just waiting for you to be open enough to explore what these other versions of yourself could be. So I say that we keep exploring all these different roads that maybe don't make perfect sense right away. And next time somebody asks you what you're gonna do with your life, just look at them proudly and say, I don't know, I'm exploring.